I'm not here to celebrate your win. I'm here to warn you. The most dangerous failure you'll ever experience will look and feel exactly like your first real success. You think that's crazy? Good. Sit with it. Because if you're like most men, the moment you finally get a win, you don't become what you dreamed of. You become someone smaller. You become the guy who hides behind it. You've been grinding, hungry, telling yourself you're built for more. Then finally, it happens. The bank account jumps, the call you've been chasing lands, the room that used to ignore you suddenly turns. For the first time, you're not just trying to be someone. You feel like you are someone. You breathe out. I made it. You look at yourself in the mirror and think, now I can finally be the man I said I was. That's the belief that ruins more men than failure ever could. Because failure hurts. It wakes you up. Success, especially your first one, tucks you in and whispers, "You're done." The proof pours in. Numbers spike. Strangers treat you like an old friend. People who never had time now have time. The door that was locked is open, and inside is everything you pictured. It feels like destiny stamped your passport. You think you've crossed the border into greatness. You think the universe finally noticed you. You start building meaning around what happened. You call it fate. You call it alignment. You call it mastery. But that glow in your chest, that's not destiny. That's narcotic. It feels clean because it came from your work. But it's still a drug. Under the hood, something quiet flips. You don't hear it. You just wake up different. Before the win, you were hunting. You were exploring. You were willing to look dumb, to risk, to test, to break stuff and learn. After the win, you're not hunting. You're guarding. You stop asking, what might make me dangerous? And start asking, what keeps this going? You trade hunger for relief. You start protecting the little statue you've built instead of growing into a man who can build cities. Fear doesn't leave you. It graduates. It stops yelling and starts negotiating. Let's be smart. Do what works. Stay on brand. Fear becomes intelligent when it learns to speak your language. You think you're just being strategic. You tell yourself discipline means repeating what worked. You convince yourself the move that hit is your truth. But discipline without danger is just a schedule for a slow death. You start living like a man who found a small vein of gold and decides the mine is in that one tunnel forever. You stop digging, you start polishing, you build a life around protecting a tactic, and the worst part? Everyone cheers you on as you shrink. They clap while you turn into a mascot for your last highlight. The real problem isn't comfort. Comfort is expensive, but it's not fatal by itself. The real problem is identity capture. Your first win is a handcuff with a diamond on it. It looks like freedom. It's not. You don't just have success, you become it. You used to be a man who could learn anything. Now you're the guy who did that one thing. You used to be a builder. Now you're a brand. You narrow yourself until you never have to feel unprepared again. You mistake applause for proof of who you are. And then you serve the applause because you're terrified of finding out what you are without it. That shift is subtle. You won't see it in your calendar. You'll see it in your choices. You start optimizing for recognition over competence. You choose the rooms where people already know your name. You say yes to stages that feed your image and no to gyms that expose your weakness. You repeat safe patterns. You curate. You avoid the coach who would break your stance and rebuild it. You avoid the deal where you might look like a rookie again. You start taking victory laps around a tiny track, and every lap feels like progress because the crowd is loud. Meanwhile, your range withers, your skills stop growing, your instincts dull. You become smooth and fragile, and you don't notice it until it's too late. Then your early win calcifies into a ceiling. You can feel it. The same move, the same joke, the same pitch, the same routine. It lands, but it lands softer. Now every hungry newcomer looks like a threat. You scroll and feel heat in your chest. You start arguing with shadows. You say, they don't respect the game. Translation, I can feel the game outgrowing me. You waste energy guarding status you haven't even matured into yet. You hire people to protect an image. You micromanage. You measure everything by attention, not ability. You call it stewardship. But if you were honest, you'd call it fear. It takes power to build a kingdom. It takes fear to guard a toy. The weight of that fear shows up in your posture. You stop walking into rooms curious. You start walking in defensive. You're not scanning for opportunity. You're scanning for threats. The game moves. You don't. The world bends around new pressure and you're stuck in last year's shape. You become a museum piece. Polished, admired, irrelevant. Men in motion don't obsess over who's looking. Men in motion are too busy building the next strike. And then it happens. Because it always does. A bigger player treats your trophy like a trinket. He steps over it while he's moving. The thing that used to stop a room barely slows him down. Your best trick lands in a silent room. You hit your go-to shot and it clangs. You feel the floor drop. Not because the room is cruel, but because the room is honest.
And the honesty stings. That's the moment you meet your actual arsenal, stripped of noise. You look down and realize you've been walking around with one tool in your pocket and a story about being a craftsman. Panic looks like strategy at first. You start tweaking, you repackage the same move, you add lights, you call it a refresh, you get mean online, you blame algorithms, you talk about loyalty, but you know it. You know the air has thinned because you stopped training at altitude. You could have stayed dangerous. Instead, you stayed visible. Comfort is expensive. It charges you quietly, monthly, automatically, until you wake up bankrupt of edge. Here's the thing you don't want to admit. That first success was a bribe. It paid you just enough to stop evolving. It said, "Here, take this. Be grateful. Don't ask for more." It bought your curiosity. It bought your willingness to be bad at something new. It bought your courage. It bought your ambition before it ever threatened the hierarchy. You weren't crowned. You were purchased cheap. If that offends you, good. Because now we're getting to the only fork that matters. You can either keep protecting the version of you that won once, or you can kill him. Not tweak him, not rebrand him, kill him. You can let your first success be a death sentence, or you can make it tuition. You can accept that the man who won that first time is not strong enough to win at the next level. He got you to the door. He can't carry you up the stairs. He is not your future. He is your proof that you can become more if you stop worshiping him. When you see it for what it is, everything changes. You stop negotiating with the fear that calls itself wisdom. You stop bargaining with the voice that says, protect your momentum. You stop asking how to hold a position and start asking how to expand your capacity. The life you want is hidden behind the actions you avoid. Read that again with your chest, not your eyes. The life you want is hidden behind the actions you avoid. The rooms where you'll grow are the rooms where your last win doesn't matter. The arenas where you become dangerous are the arenas where you are unknown. So you walk into those rooms. You don't wait for an invitation. You show up and put your name on the list with people who don't care who you were last month. You let reality hit you in the mouth. You get back into phases you thought you were done with, awkward, unpolished, criticized. You let a stronger man pull your game apart. You let a humbler room expose your holes. You choose coaches who make you feel like a beginner again. You stop posting your training and start training. You stop telling the story and start writing a new one with your rep count, your failures, your scars. And while you do it, you make a rule. No applause lines. You kill the maneuvers designed to get claps. You stop optimizing for the part of your speech that gets the laugh. You stop optimizing for the action that gets the quick check. You aim for capacity. You measure by what you can do on a hard day, under pressure, with no fan base in the room. You decide that your confidence is not a vibe. It's weight you can actually lift, calls you can actually close, skills you can actually execute. You don't become confident by thinking. You become confident by surviving reality. This is not about hating success. This is about refusing to be captured by it. It's about becoming a man defined by expanding capability instead of preserved validation. You learn to say no to flattering rooms. You learn to say yes to brutal environments where your identity is earned again, from scratch. You teach your nervous system that discomfort is information, not an alarm. You break the association between respect and safety. You train yourself to crave environments where you are not the man yet. You'll notice a strange thing when you live this way. The fear doesn't go away. It just loses its authority. It keeps talking, but you stop obeying. You become the kind of man who moves anyway. The more you do, the simpler your mind becomes. Fear tries a new trick. You might ruin your image, but you already made the decision to carry a shovel, not a selfie stick. So you go to work. Another trick. This could make you look weak. You nod. You do it anyway. The enemy isn't fear. The enemy is obedience to fear when it dresses up as wisdom. You become dangerous because you're hard to buy. Praise doesn't buy you. Access doesn't buy you. One big month doesn't buy you. You don't need the crowd to confirm your identity, because your identity lives in your capacity. Your work builds a spine. Your choices build a code. You can sit in a quiet room with your trophies turned to the wall and know that you'd beat yesterday's you in a fair fight. That's power, not likes, not headlines, the certainty that you are still becoming. Here's how you know you're on the right path. You start looking at your last win with gratitude and disrespect. Grateful for the proof, disrespectful of the pedestal. You stop telling that story at parties. You stop introducing yourself with it. You talk about what you're learning now. You talk about the next ceiling, not the last banner. You show up to the gym where nobody knows your name, and you don't try to change that. You outwork the room without a sound. When the old triggers try to pull you back, easy opportunities that lock you into the same pattern, you say no out loud. You replace dopamine with discipline and comfort with consistency. That's what it means to stay free. A man who operates this way becomes very hard to predict. He's not held hostage by a persona. He doesn't need to be right in public. He can lose a round because he's playing for the fight. He can look stupid in January because he plans to be unstoppable in December. He can try, fail, learn, and return because his value isn't hiding in the outcome. It's welded into his ability to adapt. He breaks patterns on purpose. He kills off versions of himself quickly. He reinvents without theatrics. He treats feedback like fuel. He hates excuses because he hears them for what they are, chains wrapped in polite words. The world teaches you to pick a lane and stay in it. Be the this guy. Be the that guy. That advice keeps you neat, predictable, and weak. You are not a lane. You are a force. The man you're becoming can learn a new skill at 30, 40, 50. He can build again. He can start over and still win. Not because he's special, but because he's unafraid of the process. He trusts himself under pressure more than he trusts the crowd's approval. He knows the climb is what makes him sharp, not the plateau. So ask the only question that matters. Are you defending a small identity because it finally got you claps? Or are you becoming a man who can create many identities, destroy them, and come back stronger? If your answer is the first, then understand you're not playing to win. You're playing not to lose. And men who play not to lose always do. They get outpaced by hungry nobodies who are becoming somebodies while the somebody guards a sticker. This isn't about hustle porn. This is about respect for the mechanics of growth. You want more? Raise load, increase range, reduce ego. If the skill that made you valuable at level 1 is the skill you're still leaning on at level 4, you're not a leader. You're a one-hit wonder with a longer runway. Add weapons, add depth, add moves. Be the man who turns a first win into a foundation, not a finish line. Foundations are stepped on. Finish lines are tombstones. Start today and make it surgical. Walk away from one flattering invite this week and replace it with a session that scares you. Stop telling the story of your win and tell the truth of your current work. Don't post anything about it for 90 days. Earn results in silence. Save the energy you were spending on your image and put it into your capacity. Put your pride on a diet. Put your habits on a program. When you wake up, ask a simple question. What would the man I respect do? Then do that, even if it raises your comfort to the ground. Attack the rooms you avoid. The life you want is hidden behind the actions you avoid. That phone call you won't make, that training you keep delaying, that mentor you don't reach out to because you're worried he'll expose you. That platform you won't build on because you might not be the best there. Go where you can't lean on your old story. Go where you might look like a beginner again. That's where you stop being cheap. That's where you stop being owned by your past. And don't get it twisted. This is going to cost you. You'll lose some easy praise. You'll lose fake friends who liked the mascot version of you. You'll lose certainty. But look at what you gain. You gain a body of work that stands when the market gets cold. You gain a mind that doesn't panic when the noise dies. You gain a spine made from earned proof. You gain a name that means something to you before it means anything to anyone else. Most of all, you gain freedom. Not freedom from effort, freedom from capture. You want a line to remember when the old pull takes over? Here, comfort is expensive. It charges you your hunger, your courage, your edge, and here's another. You don't become confident by thinking. You become confident by surviving reality. Put those two on your wall if you need to. But better yet, bake them into your days. Start small if you have to. But start. Because every day you reinforce the old identity, it gets harder to break the handcuffs. Every day you choose applause over growth, the price goes up. So here's the challenge. Not tomorrow. Now. Take the trophy off the shelf in your head and smash it. Keep the lesson. Lose the label. Write down in one sentence the move you've been milking. Then stop doing it for a season. Build a new move, build a new weapon, enter a room where they don't know or care who you are, put your mouth guard in and go to work. Don't look for approval, don't ask permission, just show up and let your actions introduce you to yourself again. This is the shift. From preserving status to building capacity. From guarding a small identity to expanding as a man. From being captured by one win to becoming dangerous across many. Drop the need to be seen and take up the need to be formidable. Be the man who keeps becoming uncaptured, unflattered, unstoppable because you're willing to let old versions die fast. If you refuse to do this, your first success will bury you. It will keep you small and praised. It will rot your potential while it oils your image. It will steal your future and call it stability. But if you accept this, if you choose to kill the version who won and build the man who can win again and again in bigger rooms under brighter lights, then your first success will be exactly what it should have been all along. the cheapest thing you ever did. I'm not handing you comfort. I'm handing you a weapon. Use it. Step out of the safe loop. Step into the unknown. There's no ceremony. There's no certainty. There's just the next rep, the next hard room, the next honest result. Start stacking those. Start becoming the man no win can own. Then go take what's next, not because you need to be seen, but because you've built the capacity to deserve it. And when the claps come, nod and get back to work.